Well, this is part A of the KhoodeelaarTV television channel being broadcast only on the internet, online, that is, from London, within quotes, UK. And this is the front page of the Guardian of today, Friday, the 23rd of July 2021. Now, Don Butler is shown only on the front page of the Guardian. But she doesn't need the other papers now because she was expelled from the House of Commons yesterday for the rest of the day after she repeatedly said, that Boris Johnson had lied to the House of Commons where she was speaking. And in recognition of her ability to risk her career in the Labour Party in Parliament, she continued, not with too much emotion, but with relevant amount of passion. And she made the point that people who lie are not held to account, but people who point this out are lumbered with consequences. So we shall be talking more about the intervention in the House of Commons yesterday by Don Butler. Now, here is a piece about an inquiry about the Boris Johnson predecessor, David Sleazebag Cameron. And Cameron the Sleazebag is, of course, the one that caused Brexit. Now, nobody has actually explained, nobody has actually even attempted to explain, let alone investigate, let alone examine the evidence of Brexit. Now, this is the picture. And this is a picture of Mecca, Saudi Arabia, where pilgrims on Mount Arafat during the Hajj, worshippers from abroad have been banned owing to the pandemic. So that's the picture of Arafat in Saudi Arabia as part of the description of the Hajj. Now, the Guardian's picture on the front page is, of course, worth more than what they are saying inside in the copy. And that is a downbeat piece. And it says that Labour MP Don Butler has been ejected. It should be, it's not has been ejected, it should be was ejected, because it was only an ejection effective for the rest of the sitting or rest of the day. So it's not like the House of Commons is still sitting and she has been ejected. The House doesn't return until September, but that's another matter. Butler cited a much shared social media video. Much shared meaning it's a video that has been, viewed at least a few million times, at least 45 million times, I think. But we can check and update on the actual figure. Butler cited a much shared social media video collating many of Johnson's incorrect statements, highlighting in particular Johnson's comment to MPs this month that the COVID vaccination program had severed the link between infections and serious illness or death. While this appeared to be an error rather than a deliberate attempt to deceive, the official government line remains that the link has only been weakened, not severed. Johnson has never corrected himself, and fellow ministers have refused to accept that Johnson was wrong. Butler told MPs, quote, "Not only is this not true, it's dangerous. It's dangerous to lie in the pandemic. And I'm disappointed the Prime Minister has not come to the House to correct the record and to correct the fact that he has lied to this House and the country over and over again." Cummings, a stand-in deputy speaker, after one of the office holders, Rosie Winterton, had to self-isolate, intervened to twice ask Butler to withdraw the charge of lying. Butler said, "I have reflected on my words, and somebody needs to tell the truth in this House, that the Prime Minister has lied." Cummins told the MP she was suspended for the rest of the day, and Butler left the Commons. But Butler doesn't need the Commons. That doesn't allow the truth to be told about the liar. So the picture, the very small picture of Butler leaving the Commons is there. Where is it? That is the very small picture on page 2 of The Guardian. We are putting it as close to the camera as it physically is possible. So that's Butler leaving the house. Now, let's go back to this actual rationale. I mean, what's the point of the House of Commons? If a member of parliament, that is the House of Commons, is penalized for telling the truth, then what's the point of the House of Commons? Surely. The House of Commons politically died yesterday, apart from Don Butler, who was the only oxygen keeping the House of Commons politically alive. And Cummins, the spelling is slightly different without a G. Cummins is Dominic Cummings, and Cummins is the woman that stood in as the replacement for Deputy Speaker Rosie Winterton. Now, there is a piece on the front page of the Daily Borisgraph with the heading, "Allow members of parliament bigger pay rises than for public sector workers. Expenses watchdog urges." Now, why is that? Why on earth should that be? Because, as was evident, the House of Commons floor was practically empty, about maybe 15, 20 people at most. 20 MPs were there at most, if that probably is even too many. I don't think there were even and Cameron lied. They're not saying it. They're saying Cameron understated his relationship with Greensill. It's like being economical with the truth. The head of the UK Civil Service, during the publication of the Spy Catcher book by former spy, had become notorious. So there is a piece which is about quarantine and harassment of a lawyer in a hotel, quarantine hotel, where she was forced to barricade herself in to escape harassment from a quarantine guard. A lawyer was forced to barricade herself in her quarantine hotel room after being harassed by a security guard, it has emerged. Brittany Dodds, 26, was bombarded with Facebook messages. From the guard at Radisson Blu, Edwardian Hotel and Heathrow. The South African lawyer ignored the messages and said she did not make a complaint out of fear it could provoke him. On the evening of our fourth day of quarantine, she used her bags to barricade the door after I sent a message saying, "This evening I'll come," the BBC reported. On the evening of our fourth day, yes. The next day, the guard was reportedly offended after Brittany asked for another person to escort her back to her room. He knocked on her door again. At this point, I was shaking and had no words because I knew that he was now following me, she told the BBC. She did not leave her room again for 6 days until after her quarantine was finished. Now, why didn't she complain during those 6 days? An investigation by the BBC previously revealed allegations of sexual harassment by guards against female guests in quarantine hotels, including one woman who said a guard mimed having sex with her while in a lift with her. Ms. Dodds is one of 16 women who have reported the incident to the broadcaster. In response to the allegations, the Department of Health and Social Care announced yesterday that women will now be escorted by female guards, and if none is available, male guards should work in twos. Since February, anyone traveling to the UK from a red list country has been required to quarantine in a government-approved facility for 10 days. And travelers face fines of nearly £2,000 if they refuse, etc., etc. We shall come to the government's duty of care to people, especially to women like this particular person. Now, I'm looking quite attentively, I'm looking for the reference to Don Butler in the Daily bribing Boris Graf. I've not yet come across it, but it is quite possible they may have a token piece, not a truthful piece, because they are the liars, funders. Because Johnson actually has admitted that the Daily Telegraph is his boss. And they've got the editorial, first editorial of 3 about the sexual harassment by security guard. Sexual harassment of a quarantine resident in a hotel, quarantine hotel. Well, I cannot find any reference in the Boris graph. I'm going to give it another last kind of opportunity, chance to see if they've got the piece about Don Butler. I can't find it. If it appears online, that may be possible. So the Telegraph, which we call the daily Boris graph, bribing Boris graph, is really lying itself because it is blanking Don Butler and is not reporting Don Butler's repeated allegations, assertions made in the House of Commons yesterday, House of Commons in London, that Boris Johnson has lied. And instead of the lie that the bribing Boris graph has said about the findings of the inquiry that Johnson understated his relationship with Greensill, the financial crimes is actually almost telling the truth in the headline anyway, or the heading. Greensill enjoyed extraordinary access to ministers. Inquiry finds. Now that is a very different heading about Cameron the crook. So we shall look at the financial crimes to see if they've actually heard of Don Butler. Because after her repeated claim that Johnson had lied to the House of Commons, she has become somebody that the newspaper, so-called, should be asking to. Well, so far cannot find any reference to Don Butler in the financial crimes. So there is nothing in the opinion pages. And there is a different version in the Financial Crimes Notebook from India. It's somebody, not Amy Kasman, but Stephanie Finley, who is saying that animal rights dispute is a sign of return to normality in New Delhi. We should look more about that assertion. Again, there is no reference to Don Butler. There is a piece about the now deceased head of the civil service, the British civil service, who opened Downing Street door to Greensill. This is the issue about David Cameron's dodgy behavior. We shall talk about the deadly spread of alpha variant in the UK last year later, but let's see what they are saying about the role played by civil service head Jeremy Haywood in opening the Downing Street door to Greensill. Boris Johnson's decision to launch an independent investigation into the Greensill lobbying scandal in April left critics of the Prime Minister fearing a whitewash designed to take the heat off the government as it faced mounting allegations of sleaze. Now the Financial Crimes is now going to bend over backwards in praise. Following its long-awaited publication yesterday, Nigel Boardman's report immediately drew claims So the claim is that it's a cover-up, claim being made by Labour Party. Classic cover-up. And the report is light on recommendations. Second report will follow, etc., etc. Now this is absolutely predictable. But the point is that the financial crimes is not mentioning the record of Boris Johnson as a liar, which should have been put in the paper together with this one. But they haven't. So the financial crimes editor says that the financial crimes, well, she doesn't use the word crimes, of course, but we do on the evidence that the financial crimes, it is her ambition, she says, to maintain it as the Bible of capitalism. Her phrase, we shall come to that in due course, of course, but not this minute, or necessarily this part. And they've got an editorial in the Times about Cameron's conduct on Green Seal. And it is pathetic. They say that it's they say that the Green Seal affair shows that lobbying rules within Whitehall are too opaque. Whitehall is an expression like Fleet Street about a whole number of things, mainly to do with the UK central government departments, also known as the civil service. And they've got, I'm still looking for a reference to Don Butler calling Boris Johnson a liar. And there is no piece that I can identify in the Times today that actually records that. Which is and I got a piece on page 21 about Afsana Begum. And this is a piece that actually is a summary of the date 2 of the hearing on the allegation charges against Afsana Begum. So that's page 21 of the Financial Times. The page 21 of the Times, not the Financial Times, because the Financial Times so far has not mentioned Afsana Begum at all. And we are still looking for the recognition by the Times that Boris Johnson is a liar, claimed in the House of Commons by an MP who was immediately ejected from the house for the rest of the sitting, which ended yesterday. So the Priti Patel proposals for tackling migration is commented on in a letter that is signed by a number of people: Right Reverend Paul Butler, Baroness Neuberger, Anne McLaughlin, Tim Farron, and so on. Now there is a headline here, or a heading: Biden hands plum diplomatic jobs to wives of his old allies. So we are not looking at a likely recognition by the Times of the Don Butler statement yesterday and her being ejected. There's a picture of elephants. A baby elephant lost his footing and is placed in the queue in his eagerness to get to the water hole at the Mashatu Game Reserve in Botswana. So the baby elephant is pictured having suffered a setback in Botswana in his rush to get to the water hole. And James Forsyth, one of the overhyped right-wingers in Fleet Street, has got a piece headed, "Patel is immune from failure on migrants." How stupid! But the headline is contradicted by the contents underneath it. So it's contradictory. Okay, let's go back to the Tower Hamlets MP Afsana Begum. And this is a very short piece by the Times' current legal editor, Jonathan Ames, A-M-E-S, S for sugar. So Jonathan Ames is saying in his heading, MP denies cheating to get a council flat. And the key allegation against her in terms of the evidence during the hearing at Snaresborough Crown Court yesterday was that Afsana Begum had previously worked for Tower Hamlets Council as an assessor of housing queries from residents, and that she held 4 posts with Tower Hamlets Homes, an agency that worked with the Borough Council to provide housing. The prosecution says Begum failed on 3 occasions to disclose to officials that she was no longer living in overcrowded housing when applying for a council flat. Other evidence showed she was familiar with the rules on social housing. Now this is the most important aspect of the corrupt Tower Hamlets Council, that it has a long history of failure on housing. So we shall go back to that later. Check in the sister paper of the Times, the scum. Sister paper in the Rupert Murdoch done. And we shall look again at the There is no reference to Don Butler, and so far I can't see any reference in the print version. Now there is a piece that is on page 20 again, but this is a smaller one on this scum. And it says housing jobs MP scam to get flat. Now that has taken several readings before I could get the sense of it. This is too crafty a headline. It says a Labour MP accused of defrauding her council to obtain social housing held 4 different roles at the body managing the area's accommodation. Afsana Begum, 31, claimed she was living in overcrowded conditions when she was in a 4-bedroom house with 3 others, a court heard. She said another allegedly fraudulent council house application had been made in her name, but by her partner. Lino Mesuri, an anti-fraud expert at Tower Hamlets, East London, told the court, "I believe she had 4 posts within Tower Hamlets Council, Tower Hamlets Homes. Tower Hamlets Homes is a partner organization to Tower Hamlets Borough Council that provides housing services. Mr. Masuri told Snaresbrook Crown Court he found evidence demonstrating Begum's knowledge of the social housing allocation system. Reading that again, allocation system. Begum, MP for Poplar and Limehouse, denies 3 counts of fraud. The trial continues. Now that is the only mention in print so far about Afsana Begum, apart from the Times, which is even less factual. And there is no mention that I could find in the scum so far of Don Butler being ejected from the days sitting in the House of Commons as punishment for her telling the truth about the liar Boris Johnson having lied. Now that is the piece that we are looking for. The piece about Don Butler being ejected because she said Boris Johnson had lied. The only mention about Boris Johnson being a liar is in the Ephraim Hardcastle column on page 21 about Sue Parkins. So there is no mention of Don Butler being ejected from the House of Commons after she said that Boris Johnson had lied. So let's see if the Daily Suppress, the Beaverbrook suppression of the truth has got any acknowledgement. The only criticism of Priti Patel is acknowledged by the Express when Patel is criticized by the police over pay, not about his honesty or dishonesty, and not when he is condemned by a Labour Party MP. Cannot find any mention of Johnson being called a liar yesterday in the House of Commons by the Labour MP for Brent. There is a mention of the racist Tommy Robinson having lost a libel case to a Syrian boy that he had libeled. We shall talk more about the libel case, Tommy Robinson, and his business. In due course. Now this Daily Scar is running another stupid front page. It's a safe one. But it should be the one about Don Butler. But they haven't got the morality to print that one. MP ousted for telling the truth about a liar. And they can't print that art item. Can't find any mention of Don Butler. And I can't find any reference to Afsana Begum housing fraud case ongoing at the Snaresbrook Crown Court. Crown Court is the one that does the criminal cases. And Crown Court is the second tier court, which is the opposite of or parallel to counterpart to the county courts. The county courts are for civil, that is non-criminal cases. The biggest piece in the Mirror is about the mother of Ben Needham. She says she's not given up. We shall talk more about that in due course. But on all the issues that we discuss, the continuous updates and explanation are posted online on the Twitter account, twitter.com/Khoodeelaar. So round the clock, the KhoodeelaarTV campaign posts updates. And one major area is about kittens. And we shall be ending this part at this hour, after the hour. And we shall continue in due course in the next editions.